It is 420. Dramatic pause. And we are back with Chris Steinecker, who has upped his game in props while simultaneously downgrading his game in attire. Oh, I know it's a chamber shirt. So
it's a chamber.
We're good. We're good there.
Yeah.
It's good to see you. How was the weekend?
Thanks, Joe. Nice, beautiful weekend. It was relaxing, actually. Got a chance just to sit down and relax. So life is good, and it's Monday. It's 420. I have no idea what that means, and I don't know why I smile when I say that, but it's good to see you. And hey, all this week, Joe, we are anxiously talking about how do we continue to provide relief, but how do we get to reopen? So you can see my props behind me. You're going to start hearing our chamber, as well as most chambers, is coming out of our Florida chamber effort, really talking about how do we navigate through these times, because right now we've got a lot of businesses still looking for the relief part, and that's the first part. In fact, we're going to, hopefully, if our Congress up in D.C. Does what they need to do, we'll have some more of our PPP money coming down, because a lot of our businesses, much of it, in fact, we talked about you getting some of our businesses were left out, so we're going to get more of those resources. Mm-hmm. So while we're trying to still work on the relief efforts, Joe, there's going to be this chance to try to reopen and what pieces of our economy are going to reopen first. And they're going to need a special set of new skill sets about testing and monitoring and working with your employees and customers. So you are going to start seeing us talk about relief, reopen, and then recover. Can we get back to that point of where we had the same kind of demand we had pre-COVID? Can we ever get back there? And then finally, when we get to that part, the reimagine is, what lessons have we all learned from all this? So once we realize, okay, we're done, we're getting back into shape, how is our society, how is our community, how are you and I going to change from this, and what lessons are going to learn? So that's the format we're going to be rolling out to our community and our members, and that's how we see the community going forward. So.
That's great. And the drum I keep beating is keep innovating, keep using this downtime. To your point, we don't know what business is going to look like when we come out of this, and certainly there'll be elements of social distancing or just newly discovered ways of operating virtually that stick. And make sure, if it's appropriate for your business, and a lot of businesses it's not, but make sure that while you stay optimistic and run through the relief reopen and then run through that cycle, that you're continuing to work on your business to be prepared for different scenarios, so that whichever way things go, you're ready for it, and that gives you that sense of control, which is in that sense of being able to manifest some of your own destiny. So keep innovating and stay true as you gather information about how things are rolling.
Absolutely, and that's what's going to be a lot of that's going to be where we're really going to spend our time now, is how do you keep clear on everything that you've got to do next? Because we got really good about the relief efforts. Mm-hmm. Now we have to really change our mindset as a community and start going, wait, what does reopen mean? And what are these monitoring guidelines? What does it really mean? So I'm going to ask all of our members and all the businesses out there is kind of get your head clear, because you're going to learn a whole new set of phrases and words to get you back going. And we got to pay attention together on it. Okay.
Yeah. And lots, and that clarity should also be applied to the what I see as a building sort of energy, as people are starting to get that divisiveness back into the mix with open and not opening. And, people have a lot of energy that needs to go somewhere, and the smartest and best business people keep that energy focused on things that bring real value, and don't let themselves get exasperated by just, getting caught in the surf, essentially, and getting bashed around by the back and forth of all of that. Stay, keep your eye on the prize with building value and building your business and being prepared for whatever happens, so that you don't get caught up in that back and forth.
Right on. So that's what we're going to be working on all week. And I thought let's start with those most vulnerable. We've talked about a lot of different kind of groups these last 5 weeks, Joe, but let's talk about our animal friends too. So I'm bringing in Martha Bowden from the SPCA.
Welcome, Martha.
Hey.
Welcome, Martha. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing well, as well as can be expected.
I understand. So a lot of people may not know who you are, Joe and I do, but please introduce yourselves to the Catalyst and Chamber listeners.
Sure. I'm Martha Bowden. I'm the CEO at SPCA Tampa Bay, the Animal Shelter and Pet Hospital here in St. Pete.
Great. All right. And so looks like you're operating from home as most of us are. So tell me a little bit about your experience. You employ a lot of folks. Tell us about how you guys went from pre-COVID to where you're at today.
It's been quite a transition. It's interesting being caught in this mode of having to provide services because we are an essential service and we are doing things that help keep families together. And yet at the same time, figuring out who can do their work from home. You can't really vaccinate an animal from your kitchen if they're at the shelter. So many of us on my staff who can take the opportunity to work from home are doing that as the work allows. But the vast majority of our staff are in our Largo campus and our St. Pete campus providing care and doing veterinary appointments and facilitating adoption. So it's been a bit of adjusting. We're certainly doing social distancing. We've changed all of our appointment procedures so that we can maintain a safe distance and yet still keep families together.
So thank you for that. And thank you for your entire staff. How many folks does the SPCA Tampa Bay employ here in our community?
About 90 employees, yeah, across the two campuses. We did actually, as part of our COVID response, consolidate a bit. So we had a facility in Palm Harbor and another one in Clearwater. We have closed those facilities and moved those programs to the Largo campus. And we're just trying to figure out how we can prepare for this uncertain future.
Gotcha. And so let's just talk about the four-legged friends first. So I would imagine that you are still able to adopt an animal, but do you have animals to adopt or have?
We do. We do. We have seen a wonderful response from the community in terms of pet adoptions and even interest in fostering during this time. So it has been just an incredible sense of support to know that the community is considering where the animals fit into all of this as well. We do still see animals coming in, both companion animals and wildlife. Actually, it's a busy time for wildlife right now. A lot of babies are being born, so we're still seeing those animals coming in, and it's a little bit slower probably than prior years. So, what that is saying to me is that families, as they're dealing with their pet issues while they're at home, maybe are finding other ways to solve them because they're home and they have the time.
Gotcha. And then, so my understanding is your clinic still in St. Pete is still open, though. If your animal needs some help, you guys are still able to offer critical care and help for your animals.
Yeah, our hospital in St. Pete has still open 6 days a week. We're still taking appointments every day. We've got 3 veterinarians who keep plenty busy. Like many of the other medical providers, if you will, we do have we're keeping an eye on our essential supplies and making sure that we're not doing anything that could potentially make it more difficult to provide the support for humans. So we have backed off on any kind of elective surgeries, and we're doing our best to conserve PPE so that it's available if anybody needs it. But we are still keeping quite busy with just sick pets and making sure that everybody stays healthy.
All right, that's beautiful. And I'm so glad that we have people like you in our community. But, a lot of our folks who have animals and pets have lost their jobs. And Joe and I have spent some time these last few weeks talking about how we're all the different wonderful groups are getting together to make sure that the servers and others have food to eat and their families have food to eat. So I would imagine we have a similar concern about how do we feed our animals at this time? Are there certain ways that if you need help to feed your animal, have you found outlets for that?
Yeah, we have a food bank at our Largo campus, and we take donations at both our Largo and our St. Pete campus, and that's been steadily supplied both through the generosity of this community as well as from some of our larger vendors like Hill Science Diet. So we are as prepared as we think we can be for the families that are looking for assistance with pet food. We've also got some sliding scale programs at our veterinary hospital for folks who might be struggling to cover some of their vet bills. So we're doing our best to make sure we've got resources available as people revisit what resources they have.
Gotcha. And now, just a theory of mine, do you think that the pets around the world are going to probably be done with us walking our animals 5 to 7 times more a day than we normally have? Or do you think there will be a kind of a revolution of animals?
A lot of repetitive stress injuries on these animals now from walking so much.
I think so. I think the costume thing is sort of wearing them out and the shaming videos. But I do think it actually is helping all of us figure out how to get through this. You start to reevaluate some of those important relationships and understand how central they are to your life. And that, I think, is part of the reason that we continue to stay busy at both of our campuses. People want to care for the family that they have and possibly expand it when they realize how central that is to keeping them feeling good and healthy.
Martha, one little fact that I thought was huge, but we reported on it. There was obviously the tiger that was that tested positive in the Bronx Zoo. But then as we dug a little deeper, there were actually some pets in I think a couple in East Asia, and then even two in Belgium that actually tested positive too. So have you been kept abreast of any other developments and pets testing positive?
We talk about it in every conference call that I'm having with shelter leaders across the country, and you've pretty much summed up all of the stories that have existed since this started. So I think the general feeling is continue to follow the CDC guidelines, which right now are saying we do not see pets as as either a vector for this or a fomite, carrying this around or at great risk. Certainly, if you develop symptoms of your own, you want to isolate yourself from family members, which can include your pets. Wash your hands, stay safe, keep that distance until we can understand more about it. But right now, there's just not enough data to suggest that either pets are at risk or pets are at risk.
For that. And so if there is anybody still looking for a furry friend to adopt, what would you say to them right now, Martha?
I would say, please look at our website, spcatampabay.org, or any shelter that you're familiar with. There are a number of great organizations in this community that are doing great work. And there are always pets in need, whether it's a temporary home or a permanent one. We certainly have animals that are looking for help, and we have families who may have to face that difficult decision of bringing their pet to a shelter. We want to give those pets the best opportunity to have a second chance.
Great. Well, I hope they take you up on that. We all need some loving, and that's a great way to get it. So, Martha, thank you for doing what you're doing for our community, and I appreciate your care for those who need the most help. So I appreciate that.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and Martha, you've actually been, you've been personally affected by COVID in your family. Can you talk a little bit about how that's been for you outside of your role at SPCA?
Yeah, actually, it's been really, I guess, insightful and educational. I have two family members in Chicago who both thought they had, my brother and sister-in-law, who both thought that they had basically what was a minor cold, and were under a doctor's care, and it very quickly turned into clearly COVID symptoms. They got tested, and within a couple of days of each other ended up in ICU on ventilators. So it has been now over a month, and they are. My brother has moved out of ICU and is hopefully on the path to recovery. His wife is still on a ventilator, and we've been working as a family to figure out how to support their two college-age daughters who are still at home, trying to figure out what their next step looks like. So it's been challenging for all of us because none of us are in Chicago, but it's a stark reminder of how quickly this can change your life and how important it is to be prepared, to understand your healthcare system in your community and figure out what hospital might be the best suited for this kind of treatment, as well as understand what your family might need if you're suddenly not there. And your family should include your pets. So one of the messages you'll see on our website is plan. Make sure you have a plan. It could be that, just like my brother, one day you're sitting there looking at your phone going, why can't I read the numbers? And then the next day he's on a ventilator. So it could be that somebody is coming into your house to take care of your animals and they may never have been there before. So you need to explain to them, well, the cat food is in this cabinet and the dog food's over here, all that sort of stuff. So it's really important to be prepared.
That's a great point. We've talked so much about having our businesses have those plans and think through what are the next steps. But I'm so glad we charted on that. I'm so sorry about your family. I know how tough it is for everybody is going through their own personal story on it. But I do love the notion of make sure that we are taking care of everybody, and those plans for everybody is important. So that's a great reminder for all of us as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope to see you soon, Martha, in person. But thank you for being here on our show. And Joe, thank you for covering us. And I look forward to a week of these kind of conversations.